We grow when we give.
We grow when we give.
We grow when we give.
Nosotros crecemos cuando damos.
We grow when we give.
与えるとき成長する。
We grow when we give.
Welcome to ROG Return on Generosity, a podcast celebrating generosity at work. Not financial giving, giving valuable time, alternative perspectives, and genuine collaboration. Welcome back to ROG Return on Generosity. I'm your host, Shannon Cassidy. And today we're joined by a powerhouse of creativity, leadership, and heart, someone who has spent her career shaping iconic media moments and mentoring the next generation of talent. Trish Scanlon is a seasoned branded entertainment executive who has led award-winning creative and production teams for some of the most beloved lifestyle brands in media, including HGTV, Travel Channel, TBS, and TNT. With over 2 decades of experience, Trish has partnered with blue chip companies like Disney, Wayfair, Home Depot, and Lowe's, and has helped generate over $1 billion in annual revenue. But beyond her creative achievements, her most generous leadership style is what stands out. As a proud graduate of the Betsy Magnus Leadership Institute, woohoo, and longtime mentor with the WIC Network, Trish is committed to empowering others to lead with empathy, creativity, and courage. What I appreciate most about you, Trish, is your willingness to be kind and to lead the way. You matter. Welcome to ROG.
Aw, thanks, Shannon. I appreciate it. Love being here.
Thank you. Love having you here. So let's talk about your background. Where do you come from? Tell us a little bit about Trish.
Well, I'm from Pittsburgh, which is, a proud affiliation. I'm a big, huge Steeler fan. I left Pittsburgh to go to Syracuse, and I was a television, radio, and film management major in Newhouse. And I started at Night After Night with Alan Havey, which was HBO Downtown Productions. And then I ended up at Comedy Central, which was my favorite. I loved being at Comedy Central. And from there, I kind of went over to the other side. So I worked at Ogilvy and Mather and Holland Advertising. And I had a stint with entertainment, E-Entertainment and Style through the agency. And that led to a job at In Demand, which is no longer around, which is very sad, but it was, the back end of our cable operators. It is a reason I got to do Betsy Magnus. So I only have love for In Demand.
We're grateful for them. Yes.
And then I ended up, I freelanced for a while, put my shingle out, worked for Cablevision, MSG, some sports stuff. And then I ended up at Travel Channel. And I went back and forth for like 5 years as their VP of brand creative for their marketing department. And then I ended up in HGTV and branded entertainment. And that kind of led to working on some of these other brands that we were talking about, TNT, TBS, getting a more sports experience, which was lovely. But also, the lifestyle experience was, we worked on the homes, Dream Home and Smart Home, and just really some iconic brands. That's been my privilege to work on.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. What a background. And you've always wanted to work in the entertainment industry, isn't that right?
Yep. I started as a theater kid in Pittsburgh. I loved being on the stage, believe it or not. And I actually went to Syracuse for theater, but I chickened out for the audition at the last minute. I have no idea why. When I look back, I don't know what happened that day, but I ended up taking the test for Newhouse and got in. And then from there, I took a photography class. They had journalism. They had the television, radio, and film stuff that I did. And I fell in love with the other side of the industry and went from there.
How do you think that helped you as an executive in the industry, having that passion and love for theater?
Well, I think it helps you. Improv is something that just helps you in any situation.
True.
And be ready for any situation, which in TV, as you know, like anything can happen. So you better be prepared, but also just makes you ready for even just, throwing your voice so that people can hear you, being ready for the seat at the table, all of that stuff, being able to read the room. That probably all came from theater, and was hugely helpful. And as you grow in the industry and you need to be politically savvy and understand what's happening.
Yeah. So for those listening that are working on being more politically savvy, what are some of the best practices you have?
There's some things that, just happen naturally or, are common sense, but you've never written them down before. And when I went to Betsy, like Billy Lee's book was like an eye opener of things that you're kind of already naturally doing, but now you're recognizing it. And politically savvy doesn't mean like you're gossipy and you're doing all that kind of stuff. It's just, again, it's awareness of what's happening in the room. It's understanding what's happening with your boss and your boss's boss. It's, being able to navigate cross-departmentally and build your relationships. So that you don't like you sometimes you fall, doesn't matter, you fail, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, if you have your awareness on, you can help yourself get out of sticky situations. You can navigate things a little easier. It just helps really make everything a little smoother if you recognize.
Giving people the heads up and here's what's going
Nobody likes to
on.
be surprised, so I think
No one.
being and politically savvy, I just feel like it's the wrong word. It's just being more aware of your situation, opening your aperture a little so that you have situational awareness and can navigate things easier.
For sure. And for those listening that are like, what is Betsy Magnus? It's one of the leadership programs from the WICT network, which that will be a link in the show notes. Yeah. And, Trish and I both participated in that. And one of the things that we talked about was political savvy. And I agree with you. I think sometimes people avoid being more savvy because they associate it with being like manipulative or sneaky or, even just the word political. I think
like it sounds like you're
too
being
much. Yeah. It doesn't sound like generous, it sounds sneaky. So maybe using a different word like influence or like you're saying,
situational awareness. Also,
situational awareness. Yeah.
Your team too, because you want to be able to be as informed as you can be so that your team can operate the best that they can. So I think that's all part of it. And it also leads to the other part of this, which is learning how to be uncomfortable in uncomfortable situations, because at work, and one of the lessons, I think you had like a fast question, and I was like, well, that was one of the lessons I wish I would have learned earlier, that no matter what, they're going to be uncomfortable situations. So figuring out in advance how you want to proceed with whatever the situation is. And grace and kindness are the two things in any uncomfortable situation that I always say to myself before I walk into whatever it's going to be. So, and that could be anything from difficult feedback you have to give to someone to, oh my God, you have to lay someone off, which is a terrible experience on both sides. Any of those, it could just be even a creative situation where people are, pushing and arguing or whatever, and operating sort of with those two things in mind helps get you through some of those things.
And are you overt about that? Are you like, hey, why don't we bring some grace and kindness into this? Or is this more of like a filter that you operate through?
Filter. I do have pillars that I have for any team I'm working on. I would say the pillars change depending on what you're doing and who the team is. But there are some like constants. One of them is infuse fun where you can. One of them is collaboration, always. Adaptability and flexibility has become one that comes up again and again in the industry that we're in right now, because we have no choice. So we might as well lean into it. But kindness is, I don't think I have that as a pillar because it's sort of my own thing. But, now that you say it,
well, it's kind of all encompassing. When you talk about collaboration and teamwork, I've heard you say, and then infusing fun, right? Because there's fun at the expense of other people, like it's like cracking jokes and being sarcastic, and then there's fun, like the kind of fun you mean. So just let's tap on that one for a second, because I think most of us want to have more fun at work, but we think, oh, that's like reserved for after hours,
It's true. I mean, most people think like, let's go get a cocktail, and that's fun too. But I think when you have, because I have teams all over the place, LA and Knoxville and, New York and Atlanta, it's harder when you're on Zoom. How do you infuse fun? And especially when folks might be feeling a little like, this industry is crazy. So we've instituted a few things, like Friday, we have game, we do like a game on Fridays. We had someone that worked with me who was amazing at this game, which was Jeopardy. And they would
Okay.
put this whole Jeopardy thing together. Like, it was amazing. People loved playing it. Every
I
Friday
love
we would
that.
play it. And you could bring a cocktail or not, whatever you needed. But that just helped, make things a little looser. And when you're on
Yeah,
Zoom and you're playing a game, you can bond a little bit more. So, like,
sure.
that's just one example.
So you're talking about being creative, and I know one of your philosophies is that everyone is a creative, even if that's not like your role or
Yep.
technically what you're hired to do.
Yep.
Say more about that.
Well, I just think there was a debate that we had a long, long time ago, many years ago, with the team about who's creative and who's not creative. And I think there is a tendency for creatives sometimes to just want to own it and keep it to themselves. But I don't think that makes the best creative, nor does it make a collaborative team.
Mhm.
And the truth is, everybody's creative in every role. You have the opportunity to be creative in your own role, but you also have the opportunity in brainstorms and stuff with the team to throw out ideas, because you just never know where a good idea is going to come from.
Yeah.
And it helps folks who feel like they're on the periphery, because sometimes creatives, we get a lot of love, and we need to share some of that love. So when people feel like they have a piece of it, then the team feels more cohesive. In the teams that I've led, it feels that way.
Yeah. And so how do you do that? How do you enable that or create an environment where people would be willing to share their creative ideas?
It's usually brainstorms. And usually you do, like, for the bigger projects, you'll do a team brainstorm, and we'll bring
Mhm.
everybody in. There's a couple of, everybody has a different way that they brainstorm. And, AI now, you can look up like 40 different ways to do a brainstorm.
Yeah.
So it depends. It usually depends on the creative director. If they have a specific way that they like to brainstorm, I'll
Yeah.
typically will just follow their lead. Or if
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh, I don't know, we're just throwing out ideas," and sometimes we're so in deep that we know we just need to, like, pick this thing and talk about it and see where we get. So
Mhm.
there's like a variety of ways that you can get to the team feeling like they're involved.
So you have a lot of leadership philosophies that I want you to share many of them with our listeners. One of them was about attitude matters.
Yes.
Um, please say more.
Yeah, I think in the this stage and day and age, it matters more than ever. Like, the attitude that you bring to work. I think I'm guilty of this in the past, where I would just let it make me angry if something was going wrong or wasn't going my way, or I didn't think anybody was listening to me. And
Mhm.
then you kind of bring that feeling to work, and then
Yeah.
everybody, guess what, starts to feel that way. And then you're in like a not so fun fest meeting where we're all just bitching and moaning, and eventually no one wants to do anything. So
Yeah.
you have to fit, like, I didn't want it to feel that way anymore, and I certainly didn't want to be the person that was bringing that. The old coach from Villanova, Jay Wright, had this quote, and it was, your attitude matters. Control what you can control. So
Mhm.
there are things in the forces around us, and I have said this to my team quite a lot, which is, there are things that we cannot control in our world right now, but we can
Mhm.
control ourselves and our attitude and how we show up every day. And if we show
Absolutely.
up happy and trying to, like, do good work no matter what, then we're going to be happier. And
Mhm.
and so that's where that comes from. And
That's exactly right.
100% works. As soon as you, the leader, change your tone,
Mhm.
people follow.
Absolutely. And it's true, right? There's a whole host of things that you can't control at all. We talk about in the 5 degree principle. And it's just helpful to compartmentalize those things because it's not that they don't affect you. It's just that you can't do anything about
Right.
them. And then like the things that you can influence, but then the things that you can control, like you're saying, your attitude, that's on us. Like I
Yeah.
can't even make you have a good attitude.
Nope.
I can create an environment that might increase the probability of you having a good attitude, but right, that's an inside job. So you're saying as generous leaders, like own that responsibility
And
and
bring
bring
it
it. Yeah, bring
every
it.
day. And,
That's so good.
listen, some days are harder than others, but the hardest days, when you have brought a good attitude, you feel better. Because
Yeah.
at least your folks were, not being dragged down by whatever the feeling of the day is, and they're
Mhm.
focused on whatever it is that we have to get done. And that just makes it easier to come to work.
That leads well to another one of your philosophies about working smarter, not harder.
Well, yeah, this is my favorite. Because I know there's a lot of philosophies about there. Like, you got to work through the weekend, and you got to work work, 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 burn yourself out. That's what we prize. And I don't necessarily share that belief. I think there are many things that we can do to make our lives easier. And this is a pillar that I have with everybody who works with me. If it ain't broke, let's not fix it. If it's working, we can keep with it. If it's not working, then let's figure out how we can smartly make it work easier for us. And we apply that to anything we do. And I ask them questions like, does this feel really complicated? Or, hey, this thing it takes a long time to do. Are we sure this is how we have to do it? And so those are the things, like even little things like filling out a form, like how can we make it easier to fill out that form so you don't have to spend 10 hours doing that, right?
Yeah.
And those are the things that when they feel like they have control over making that easier for themselves, I feel like people feel better about what they're doing.
And how can you draw a connection between collaboration and working smarter, not harder?
I mean, so funny because you just think collaboration is something that everybody does, right?
Yeah.
It turns out that's not always true. So I think it's just smart to be collaborative. You will get the best work when you have other eyes looking at things with you. Now, we don't need the whole kitchen, because then that, too many cooks in the kitchen can also be a little, water down the creative. But you want to have the right amount of collaboration with folks looking at things so that you're not doing things in a vacuum and then showing up and being like, see, it's great. And people are like, that's not so great. So collaboration is the smart way to work to make sure that you are getting and going and your team is going in the right direction.
I totally agree. And I just think it's counterintuitive because you think, I think it's like that saying that they say, if you want to go faster, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. Right. So it's like, sometimes I think we just want to get things done, so we take it ourselves. But that whole, like, it's smarter to work with everyone because it might take longer in the process, but then you don't have so many iterations and so much, like surprising feedback that you didn't. Yeah.
Hopefully smartly to the right people that can help you make the work better.
Mm-hmm. So as a mom of a surf instructor, one of your philosophies is surf the wave and be flexible. And that one always stands out for me as like resonates.
Yes. Mike and Tegan are lifeguards. Robert Moses, they've been doing it. He's been doing it for 40 plus years. She's been doing it for 3.
Yeah. So your husband and daughter.
Yeah, they are swimmers. I'm not such a swimmer, so I don't go in the water, but they love it. And so ocean and all of that is a deep part of our family, and that's what
you are. Yeah.
And so surfing is actually one of my oldest, maybe one of my first pillars when I moved from Travel Channel back up to New York, because there were so many changes that we weren't ready for. And I forget who said it to me. It was like, you just need to like roll with it. And that's when I came up with like, oh my gosh, we're just like surfing waves. That's what's happening. And we got to be ready. It's like when you're down in the trough, you got to be ready for what's coming up. And it is something they have to talk about because every situation is different, what you're surfing on and what you're surfing for. But it's just a good analogy for everybody to like, sometimes we got to roll with the punches. Sometimes things are out of our control. It goes back to your attitude. And if you can just get to the beach.
Get to the beach and get on the board. Yeah. And I think it's such a great analogy because it's like there's more waves that go by that aren't the right one, or you catch one and then you crash and it's painful. But then you could just be like, you know what, I'm just not a surfer. Or you could get back out there and you can wait, because then once you get the great one, you're like... So I just think it's almost like that iceberg of what people see above the surface. If you're successful, is just like, yeah, you won the award, or you got the thing, or you earned all this money for your organization. But what's underneath the surface is all of that struggle and all of the wipeouts.
Yep.
So I think it's helpful for all of us to just have that encouragement to get back out there.
Yes. I think that's what surfing the wave is all about.
So another thing that you talk about is never, ever lie, and that the truth is always best. And I would say even when it's hard.
Yes.
So
that's what I would
give me some examples of when does this show up in your life?
That fits in with the get ready to be uncomfortable. I think it's over simple things too, where and mostly for folks where they're just coming in. And my daughter is 19 or 20. Oh my God, she's 20, and she's got an internship, and it's stuff like, if you're going to be late, you just tell them you're going to be late. make up, oh, there was traffic or this or that. Not in this day and
Mhm.
age anyway. Everybody could look up and be like, there was no traffic. It just doesn't behoove you to lie about silly things or lie really
Mhm.
about anything. But like the everyday things that you're like, oh, it's just a little white lie, or it's just a this, or if you're not feeling well, then you just say you're not feeling well. But if you're fine, then you just need to say, I need to take a mental health day. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
things that there's no reason to lie. And if something has gone, and if you get in the habit, it kind of rolls into almost everything you do.
Mhm.
And that's why I say just don't do it. Because then you will get used to just having to tell people, like, whatever it is. Like, I messed up the report. I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
Instead of burying it or doing whatever maybe you would have done.
Totally. And I think people are so receptive to that. I know I am. If somebody tells me the truth, even if it's brutal, I'm like, okay.
I
I mean,
do. Yeah, I mean, I believe it. I'm like, listen, I'd rather have you tell me the truth and we can problem solve. Hopefully you're
yeah.
telling me the truth and you already have a solve. But if you don't, we
If you
will
don't,
solve it together.
yeah,
And it is the job of the leader to help someone when a mistake has happened or whatever it's happened. You
yeah.
don't want it to get buried or find out later that
Mhm.
we could have solved for this if you had just said the hard part from the beginning.
Mhm. Yes, I just recently received feedback like that, and the person said, "How much sugarcoating do you want?" And I said, "None." I said, "I just appreciate the truth.
Yeah.
Just say it." And
Tell
she
it.
said
Yeah.
it, and she was like, "I'm sorry." And I said, "Don't apologize." I said, "That's a gift.
Yeah.
Like you have enough respect for me
Yes.
to have an opinion of a knowledgeable one,
Yeah.
and to want me to create something better,
Yeah.
right?" So like it's basically she's proving to me that she knows I can do better. And yeah, I mean, it did hurt, but
Yeah.
it's not like in the way that I'm upset with her. It's more in just like I'm so glad she told me so that I can go fix it, right? So like
Yes.
there's work to do.
Yes. Well, and I think that's true about any kind of feedback, right? And I'm
Yeah.
a big believer too in like feedback should be immediate, or if you're angry, I say give it 24 hours.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but still, don't wait too long to give feedback because then it's something that someone's like, well, that would have been helpful 2 weeks ago. Why did you
Right.
wait so long?
Yeah.
And it's because of it goes back to people don't like uncomfortable situations. They don't
Mhm.
want to tell people bad news, but I think it's one of the more important skills, and it's a skill.
It's a skill. Yeah, and you get to practice every day if you're a good
Yeah.
leader. So what are some of the tools and tricks you have on effective feedback?
Well, I am a big fan of telling people how amazing they are and why I love, working with them, and then doing a little like, but hey, in this area, this would be
Mhm.
really great
You
if we
start with
could.
the positive?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
end with positive. So it's the sandwich. I think
Mhm.
we might have learned the sandwich and Betsy too. Um, but it's a natural thing. I'm a middle child. I'm always trying to like make everybody like happy. So
Mhm.
even when I have to like deliver some harder news, now if it's really hard news, I'm just gonna just
Straight
rip
at
off
it.
the
Yeah.
band-aid and say, hey, that
Mhm.
didn't work for me, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
text you, and you're gonna know. Like, but everybody, all my people will be like, oh yeah, I've
You're
gotten a
like,
Trish.
"Uh-oh, yeah, I
What
got a
is
Trish text."
happening? Never mean. I'm never mean. I don't think you have to be mean, but you have
Yeah,
to be
no.
clear, that doesn't work.
No,
Um,
but I mean, I think kindness is clarity. Like you being kind means that you're being clear and you're being fair and consistent,
yeah,
right? It's not like this bothers you today, but it won't tomorrow. No, this is like the standard and
this is
it
how we
didn't
operate
happen. Yeah. So I think
here.
that's also fair. And if it's unfair, then you're open to hearing that too. Like, are your
Correct. And we'll
expectations unrealistic, you know?
have a conversation.
So yeah, I think that timeliness is key. And then you talking about praise, just giving positive feedback when that's warranted too.
And this is again back to uncomfortable. The longer you let the uncomfortable situation happen, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
So finding a way to pull that person aside and hopefully help them get better, or if not,
Mhm.
then making, some of those tough decisions that have to be made.
For sure. And that's why I think as a leader, it's a tough position to be in because it is your responsibility. Sometimes you're like, well, that's in my can't control column, but as a leader, it is in your influence column and you have to address it and deal with it because everybody else is suffering and
And they
it's like,
all know.
yeah,
So like
yeah,
there's like if you think,
yeah.
oh no, nobody knows, like that's wrong. They all
That's incorrect.
yeah.
Yeah. You also talk about being kind and you just said it a minute ago and that kindness is always the way to go. Tell
Yeah.
me more.
I I think it comes from a customer service oriented mindset, being in agencies and, working with some very difficult people.
Mm-hmm.
I just have found that if you are kind, and it doesn't mean weak, or you like get run
Mm-hmm.
over. It's just like, I'd rather operate kindly and figure it out, than, come from an angry place.
Yeah, we had Nomi Bergman on ROG a
Oh,
couple of episodes ago, and she shared how kindness isn't a weakness. It is sometimes perceived as one, or some have an association with it. But she's saying, like, it's even she even said that kindness is more difficult than being clever,
yeah.
right? To be
I
like
think so.
witty, and but when you're kind, it takes work. You have to
Yeah.
really rise
It's
above, and like you
thoughtful,
said,
it's
grace and
thinking,
kindness.
yes, and you have to think about it before you're entering into meetings. Like, how do I
Hmm.
want to show up today?
Yeah.
Listen, no one's perfect. Sometimes you don't show up that way, even though you tried. But I
Hmm.
think it's a muscle, and the more you use it, the easier it gets.
You talk a lot about curiosity
Mhm.
and why it's so important to stay curious and ask questions. I mean, why is that so important as a generous leader?
Well, I think we don't know everything. And recently we've just been like doing new things or picking up new skills,
Hmm.
because that's just what the industry is demanding right now. And it's hard when you've been doing it for a really long time and you have certain skill set. So you want to walk into the room like, hey, I'm here because I know a lot of things, but in these situations, I don't know. So like the
Yeah.
answer is I don't know. So I deploy curiosity because it helps me think like it's okay to not know. You have
Hmm.
very skilled people here who are going to help you figure it out because they're so
Sure.
good at it. And honestly, it allows people to kind of grow into what they're doing anyway, and they feel really good about it because they own this sort of particular area.
Hmm.
But curiosity works in creative too, where you're just
Yeah.
asking questions of like, did we think about this or how about that? And I think it feels less accusatory.
Sure.
Well, so when you're asking questions, people feel like we're in it together.
Hmm.
We're collaborating on how to make this better. So there's like kind of two sides to it. It's like sometimes you don't know the answer, and sometimes you're just trying to get to a good answer.
Hmm. Yeah. See, we've been talking about it, but not directly at teamwork.
Hmm.
Can you just say a little bit about teamwork?
Well, without it, then we're not going to have good creative. And our production teams, our design teams, our creative teams, like they all have to work together. And it's especially in branded entertainment where we have people who are up to dig into something that it's just like a software that we use that our sales team will put all the information in, and then we got to like mine it like detectives to pull out like all the good stuff so that
Yeah.
we can create, the things that then need to go to our creative team and to our, production team. Together we work on like, how much do we think this is going to cost? What's the production
Hmm.
budget? How many days do we think we're going to shoot? Like all of that is teamwork. And it has to be some like fairly coordinated process that everybody is, moving the wheels along so that it gets done
Hmm.
quickly. Because usually, well, people are like, hey, we need that idea back in 24 to 48 hours. So
Yeah.
you got to be really coordinated too.
So good. So you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. So this one I think is a little tough. So just take a second to think about it if you want. What's one leadership lesson that you wish you learned earlier in your career?
That's the uncomfortableness that we've been talking about. It took me a while to get that sort of muscle on. Um, I, the avoiding tough conversations or feedback to people who needed it. I figured out ways to avoid stuff in my early career that I look back on and I'm like, okay, well, that was why it was so hard. But once
Mhm.
you like Betsy really sort of helped hone in on those things that I was struggling with. The 360 they did, all that kind of stuff. And it just
Mhm.
like, again, just you needed an aperture to open up a little bit like, hey, this would be not as hard if you were just to lean into that uncomfortableness and talk to people.
Embrace it. Yeah. How do you foster a generous collaborative culture on such a fast-paced creative team?
Well, we've talked about the like being kind and finding fun ways to infuse like just any games or inspirational things to make it a little lighter, a little bit more fun.
Mhm.
Um, having one-on-ones with everyone that reports to you so that you can, check in on them, being a human and asking someone, how are you? And really meaning it, knowing their kids and their dogs and their like whatever is going on in their life, or if they don't have any, whatever that may be,
whatever it is, checking in.
And like you have a little more humanness with your interactions.
Right. And it makes it more fun and interesting, right? People are so interesting. So what's your favorite part of mentoring the next generation of media leaders?
I mean, all of it is my favorite. I like being a mentor. I also like being a mentee. I like the whole process. I love learning. So like as a mentor, I love hearing what's happening in our mentees' lives, because there are things that you're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Or maybe all these years I didn't know what I was talking about. And you're going to give me a nugget that helps me like open my brain a little bit. And then I just think like there are connections that happen, which have happened in my life, going through the process of people who are in your life forever because you did the sort of mentor mentee things. I think some people are like, I don't know, that's not for me. But I have gotten lucky like at least 3 times where these people are still in my life because we went through it. And, I just think like it's a great experience for both sides.
That's wonderful. Oh my gosh. It's such the ripple effect of generosity. It's so beautiful. All right. This is a little out of the box question. So pickleball doubles, who's your dream celebrity teammate and why?
David Bromstead, because he's so much fun from My Lottery Dream Home. And I've shot with him on a few things, but he's so funny and a delight. And I just think he'd really be good at pickleball. I'm not sure why, but I think it'll be fun.
Wow. What a great answer. I would have to think about that for a sec. So you get to eat at any Food Network star's home for dinner. Who's cooking?
Ina.
Okay. Why?
I've just been watching her for years. My mother loved her. I tried actually I tried to go find her store in the Hamptons, but it had already gone. I just like her whole simple philosophy. I could do her recipes. They're not that hard. People actually eat my food after I've made an Ina recipe. So she's just a delight.
Yes, so likable.
I love her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, last one is, what TV show best describes your leadership style? Like an HGTV Renovation, an ID True Crime, or Food Network Bake Off?
It's funny. I'm going to go with the HGTV Renovation. I love to build and make things. Like I love building teams. And any kind of team. I can go from scratch. I can take a team already in process. I can, I can move a team. I've done all of those things. So I think HGTV Renovation with a little ID, maybe True Crime in there because of the detective work.
Yeah, keep it interesting, right? Oh, thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your thought leadership. We really appreciate you and all of this great wisdom.
Yeah, my pleasure, Shannon. This was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to ROG Return on Generosity podcast. Please help us grow by subscribing and reviewing us on your favorite podcast player. And for more information, visit bridgebetween.com. We grow when we give.
우리는 나누면서 성숙합니다.
We grow when we give.
On rayonne quand on donne.
We grow when we give.